The X6 is BMW's attempt to make a car which looks and goes like a coupe, but has a tall driving position and a bit of off-road ability. They call it a sports activity vehicle. It's available with a choice of 2 petrol engines, both of which will attract the new £950 showroom tax, and 2 diesels, which won't. In the cabin, there is space for 4, but those in the back will be awfully cramped due to the sloping roofline. Inside, it's all typical BMW, except for this rather clever split-opening glovebox lid. It works well here, but what if you're the wrong way up? To find out, I went to Sydney, which is in Australia. Obviously, everything here is upside down, and yet it still works beautifully. And that is impressive. So, how does the X6 drive? In many ways, it's quite annoying. You can't see out of the back very well, and it's got the iDrive system, which can only be operated if you are 14. No, gibberish. I don't know what any of that means. Satellite navigation, OK, you're coming up to a complicated junction, trying to see which way it is, and you think, oh, it's a bit chilly, I'll just ease the temperature up, and the screen's gone! Now I don't know which way to go, because it's... Why are you telling me that? Then there's the gear lever. It's on back to front, because if you want to change down, you push it away. And if you want to change up, you pull it towards you. And there's no point resorting to the paddles on the steering wheel, because unlike in a normal car where one changes down and one changes up, in this they both do the same thing. And what was the boss of BMW doing when all the clowns in the laptop department were coming up with this rubbish? I can only assume she was in a motel with a Swiss spy. Now, that would be preposterous. Still, for a big, tall car, it's not bad in the bends. Unfortunately, to make it not bad, they have had to put quite a lot of beef and granite in the suspension. In Britain, that makes it really quite uncomfortable. But what about countries where the roads are smooth? To find out, I went to Spain. Nope, it's uncomfortable here as well. The fact is this: it would be more comfortable if it weren't so tall. There's a similar problem with the performance. Yes, the twin-turbo 3-litre diesel that I've got in this particular model will get me from 0 to 60 in 7 seconds, and that's not bad. But how much faster and how much more economical would it have been if the body wasn't so enormous? You'd imagine, though, that the advantages of that big, high-riding body would become clear in the countryside. But there's no low-range gearbox, there's no ride height control, and there's no locking differentials. It doesn't take long for those emissions to have an effect. Now, you see, that really says a lot, doesn't it? The only way around this is to get out and complete your journey on foot. That's the handbrake on and in park. Help! I'm still going back over the hill. Maybe, though, it can handle snow a bit better. To find out, I went to the highest ski resort in the Alps. It can't. So, it's too focused on being a road car to be any good off-road, and it's too focused on being tall and heavy to be any good on the road either. And that, I'm afraid, is far from the end of the story. You see, the X6 was conceived at a time when we all thought the banks knew what they were doing, but it went on sale moments after we discovered they didn't. And I'm sorry, but in a recession, a car like this just looks ridiculous. To explain what I'm on about, I went in search of a metaphor. And inevitably, that led me to Hong Kong. See that skyscraper? The one Batman jumped off. It's not particularly beautiful. It's not particularly useful. It was built by a world, for a world, that doesn't really exist anymore. Remind you of anything? To sum up then, the Range Rover is a much better all-rounder, which is why we use them as camera tracking cars. The X6 is too cramped, too complicated, and with prices starting at £42,000, too expensive as well. Then you're going to need at least £1,500 a year to run it, not including depreciation. And I think I'd rather spend that sort of money on a Caribbean holiday. To find out, I went to Barbados. I think a bit more research. No, this is definitely better. Definitely.